Hello and welcome to another Minisode of the Shift Your Day Job podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Cates, and this week I have decided to do a solo episode since it is the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. And I know a lot of you are spending time with family, so I wanted to keep this episode short and sweet and to the point so you can get back to the festivities. With the Thanksgiving holiday, I have been thinking about topics centered around gratitude. And as much as I feel like gratitude is a really important thing to cultivate, especially around our careers, that's not the topic that has really come up for me this week. So I wanted to talk to you today about gathering data, which I know sounds really boring when I say it like that, but let me give you a little bit of context. So, I recently started a new workout regimen with a personal trainer because I've been meaning to get my butt in gear and start taking better care of myself. And of course, when we first started working together, she took all of these measurements before we got started. And every month we check in and get new measurements. It's been a month. And this week I got my new measurements taken, and I anticipated maybe the numbers changing slightly, like going down maybe a little bit, but not a huge change. And when we were looking at them, in fact, my numbers went up. And of course, I was very discouraged because I've been implementing a lot of new habits and doing a lot of the work. And I was hoping for something to go down instead of up. And thankfully, my trainer, she's very lovely. And she's like, okay, before we dig in, how are you feeling? Let's feel the feelings here. And so she allowed me a moment to be sad and disappointed and discouraged and to cry a little bit. And she said, I want you to feel those feelings. I don't want you to just push them aside because they're valid, they're important, and you're allowed to grieve while also knowing that we're only 1 month in and it's okay. And the whole reason we're taking these measurements and gathering this data is so that we can be better informed about what we're going to do next, right? To make improvements. And so the thought that I want to share with you today is about gathering data and how data is a good thing and it's just data. It doesn't have to mean anything about us. So, in this instance, I could look at that data and I could interpret that as I'm a failure. I didn't work hard enough. I am just like never gonna lose weight or whatever my goal is. Or I could not make it mean anything about myself and say, okay, these are just numbers. And based on the numbers, what am I going to do differently? What habits are going to change? What's a different goal that I have this month in order to make the numbers go down instead of up, right? So, what does that have to do with a career? I think that it's really important if you're in a career where every day you go to work and you just never feel like you're doing enough and you don't feel good enough and you don't feel valued and you think you're failing at your job, that's actually just data for you. And if you can recognize that data and then reflect, okay, what is this data telling me? It could be telling you that this job is not a good fit for you. And someone might interpret that as meaning you suck at your job. But let's again not make it mean something about us, but let's make it mean something about the job itself, right? Like maybe the job itself sucks. And maybe it's not that you're not good enough at your job, it's that it's not the right fit for you. And so let's take the data and interpret it to help us figure out what would be a better job fit for you. Which brings me to the other piece of it, which is okay, if I feel crappy at work when I'm doing XYZ, when do I not feel crappy? Like at work or anywhere else, where do I actually excel? Where do I feel good about myself? Where do I feel confident in my abilities? And what skills am I using in those moments? And those pieces of information can then better help inform you as to the type of job that would be a better fit for you. And it really comes down to mindset, right? We as human beings want to make meaning out of everything. That's just how our brains work. And let's be honest, most of the time, this idea of failure scares the living daylights out of us. And yet, if we can reframe a quote unquote failure as, okay, wait a second, what are the facts? I pursued this goal, I fell short, I landed here instead of over there where I wanted to be. But how does that data help inform me as to what's the next best step? What's the next action I'm going to take? And the whole goal is to pick yourself back up and keep going. So when you're pursuing a new career or when you're wanting to make some kind of change and it's scary and maybe it doesn't go quite the way that you wanted it to the first few times, are you able to continue to pick yourself up and keep going towards that goal because you know you deserve and want and desire a job that makes you feel good about yourself most of the time, not feel terrible about yourself most of the time? I can tell you firsthand that I was in a profession for a long time where every day I went to work and felt like I was falling short and felt like I was not doing enough and I wasn't good enough at my job. It took its toll on me. And for a while, I thought maybe that's just how work is. Maybe that's just what it means to be an adult. And when I decided that no, I want more for myself and I deserve to feel good at work most of the time, because a job is a job, right? It's not rainbows and butterflies 100% of the time. But if you can go to a job or have a career where you go every day and it makes you feel good and it lifts you and it energizes you most of the time, then you've found that sweet spot. You've found that job that is a good fit for you. And you will begin to thrive in that environment. And that's what I want for you. I want you to thrive. I don't want you to stay somewhere where you're feeling stuck and drained because we only get one shot here on this earth. And I truly believe that you deserve to find joy and happiness while you are here. You're not meant to live a miserable life. And let's be honest, work takes up a lot of your time, right? So if you're not happy at work, it's sucking a lot of your life force out of you because of the amount of time you dedicate to it. I encourage you this weekend, as maybe you have a little extra time to reflect, what data can you gather when you go to work about this job that you're doing and about yourself and your strengths? And then can we lay that data out and look at it and synthesize it and decide how that data can inform your next best step to get you to a career that's going to light you up and where you'll find fulfillment? If you are needing help with this, you need some support on figuring out what is your next career move? What are your strengths? What do you really want to do next on your career path? I offer one-on-one coaching services and I would love to assist you on your career change journey. So reach out to me at shiftyourdayjob@gmail.com and we can set up a discovery call. It's free and we can just make sure it's a good fit for both of us because I want you to excel. And I want you to feel good about what you're doing. And if there's any way that I can help facilitate that, I would be honored and privileged. So happy Thanksgiving to those of you who are celebrating. I hope you're able to enjoy some time with family and take some time to reflect on all the things you're grateful for in your beautiful existence. Join me again next week for another amazing interview. And together, let's continue to shift your day job.